It is April 30th, and the first rehearsals at Eurovision 2017 have come to a close. We saw 9 acts, so we're going to go around and discuss our winners, our losers, our growers, our disappointments. We're going to talk about all of it. Are you ready? Let's do this! The 9 acts today were Sweden, Georgia, Albania, Australia, Belgium, Montenegro, Finland, Azerbaijan, and Portugal. Honey, Chris, who is your loser, bottom of your rankings?
I mean, it has to be, and it pains me so much to say it, it has to be Belgium. They've just thrown away such a good song. I mean, genuinely, and it's not just us saying this, it does feel like a lot of people in the press room have said they have really, really let themselves down. I don't know whether it's production, whether it's Blanche being too nervous. Apparently, the reaction seems to be a lot of people seem to think that the staging isn't right, and the Belgian delegation feel like it is on point and that they have got it right, which is never a great sign. The last time I remember that, Treintje Uterhuis in 2015, they made some minor changes, but it wasn't enough, and that was just a disaster, and they didn't qualify. And I now feel like Belgium may not qualify, having said that this was the best song of the year.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I actually forgot that they went on today when we were doing this, because it didn't make an impact. This is my #1 studio version.
Yeah.
I've been having a fan wink over it all season. I think it's amazing. I think she's a good performer. I love her voice. But this package just doesn't work. I think they should have made it more like the music video, where they create this alternative universe. Like Azerbaijan managed to create its own universe on the stage, and Belgium's song is even better suited to that. So they could have put her in a box for all like here, black, and have a single light like in the music video, and it would have been more high impact. Her nerves she'll get over. Her voice will improve. I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm worried about the concept, which just is doing nothing. It looks like a mess. It's very busy, and it distracts from the song and that, not spiritual, but that, that gravitas it had.
Yeah, well, she wasn't my biggest loser. She's definitely my biggest disappointment because the expectations were so high. The nerves I wasn't surprised about, because all during the preview party season everybody's come back saying she's nervous. Yeah. But I just don't get the staging, because it's a very intimate song and she's there all alone on a gigantic stage, and there's all these big shots going out, which makes sense if you're Conchita Wurst singing Rise Like a Phoenix and you've flames rising up behind you. She just has a few constellations whirling around in the background, and they're not even that eye-catching. You're kind of looking at it and you're begging for something to happen.
For some city lights.
Yeah, and it's city lights, and there's not even much of a city in the background.
Simplicity works when you film it right as well. So they've gone for something quite simple, but the fact that they pan out so much, it exposes the fact she's alone. Whereas somebody like Portugal, who, I'm never going to like the Portuguese song, I think, at the end of the day, but they have filmed it right. They have made the right decisions with their shots and stuff. They have thought it through, and they've come up with something good, whereas the Belgium filming and camera work is just terrible at the moment.
They just haven't.
And even just where she's positioned on stage, like Portugal have a stationary singer on a little island, and she'll be surrounded by a sea of fans. Whereas Blanche is a solitary singer, no movement apart from her few hand gestures. And she's on a big empty stage, and there's not even a dancer, and they don't even have the floor done with anything imaginative.
And she's not committed to the hand gestures. When she goes like this, it's like someone's in the corner saying, "Raise your hands, little girl." It's not believable. But Porg, who is your last place?
My last place, I went in with no expectations, and it's Georgia. I have not liked this song at all from day one. I wouldn't say I dislike it more now, but I definitely don't like it more. The staging is just a non-event for Sacha Jean-Baptiste. Sacha Jean-Baptiste is like supposed to be the Chanel or Gucci of Eurovision staging, and she gave us this James Bond ripoff. It's like one of those Bond films that, remember before Adele came along, they kind of lost the way, and they had all the they'd have floating blood bubbles and all this kind of stuff, and she has her ovaries and her wombs or whatever it is on the floor, and it's got nothing to do with Keep the Faith. Like, Keep the Faith is a very general song to begin with.
Yeah.
And then she's all rocking the Little Red Riding Hood in Durney, and she's half-hearted about it, so she just has it, and then she's like, okay, I need to get rid of this, and she just drops it, and there's nothing dramatic about it. And then she's going on belting out her big notes, which aren't even her own big notes some of the time. Yes, and the song itself, I don't like the song. It's Keep the Faith, Make the World Go Round, whatever.
I just feel like they ordered Sacha Jean-Baptiste, but they did so at a Chinese, outdoor market. So it's a counterfeit version, where Gucci is spelled with one C. It's not living up to expectations. I think the addition of pyro and flames and, the smoke, that does work actually, and it improves. And hopefully they have a few more secrets in their bag of tricks, because she has a beautiful voice, and I just wish they would showcase it better. She sounded great. No problems there.
Yeah. I do think my one real thing about it is, if you're going to do a cloak remove, or you're going to do something like that, make a moment of it. Bring the drama. Christina Scala ripping off her ponytail. Aderne ripping off the
Committed.
cloak. Not just...
I'm gonna change clothes,
Yeah. It's usually like, oh, I've come out with this on. Oh, it turns out the weather's fine. I can just take this off.
Yeah, it was very Zara dressing room.
Yeah.
In any case, we move on to our growers who grew the most in our estimation. Porrig.
Montenegro. I was going in expecting this to be an absolute car crash, because the song, it's fine, it's catchy, I don't skip it when it comes on, but I just couldn't see what was going to work with this, because Montenegro don't exactly have the best reputation when it comes to staging. And you could call it a car crash, but it was a spectacular, magnificent car crash where everything somehow was so bad, but yet so good. And he's dancing on there's like one point where he's like writhing on the floor on the top of his face. And then there's the other point where there's the giant Slavkos dancing behind him. And there's another point nearly where he's like I nearly imagine being a horse, and then the whole thing with the hair, and it's so distracting. Amazing. And I just don't even know what's going on with his vocals, but the stage show just takes me somewhere else.
If you're going to do a gimmick, you have to commit to the gimmick, much like Poland in 2014, and he's doing it now. This is going to make people stop. When he's pulling Beyonce with a hair braid, it's like, how many angles can I work with this? We did an interview with him, shortly after his rehearsal, and I told him, you look half man, half horse, because you're showing body in skin-tight leggings, that show of all your musculature, and he's like, this is a compliment to me because the horse is my favorite animal. I love him because he's so honest and so unique and has his own perspective, and he does not give an F what anyone thinks. And in this instance, it just really, really works. If someone else did this and they didn't commit, it'd be a joke act. Yeah. But because he does it and he's serious about his art, it makes you believe it and it makes you want to watch it. I could watch that 5 or 6 times and still smile. It's just every time you find something different, from the giddy up to him writhing on himself, it's masturbation is a very personal act, and I feel like him writhing on his own face on the floor is in some way, I don't know, it's like sex with the self. And I think many people, I don't know where I'm going with this comment, but in psychology we talked about this. You can have a Google, you read about it for yourself. In any case, I love this. I love him for doing what he's doing.
If you own something, no matter how bad your vocals are, if you can sell it, then it doesn't matter, because people will enjoy you, people will vote for you. That is what's going to happen with Montenegro. And there were backing vocal issues here and there with it, but if they get it all together, I have complete faith that this will qualify. I mean, the odds, and a lot of the betting people still say this isn't going anywhere. I just feel like it just feels like it has to, in a way, because otherwise, out of everything in this first half, it stands out for being genuine fun.
Yeah.
Sweden feels a bit like constructed fun, and this feels like genuine, I am enjoying this for the spectacle that it is.
Bonkers. I am WTF crazy. Yeah. I am batshit crazy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you're amazing, and that's why we love you. Now, that is also... What was the question? Growers. Yes, biggest growers. Yeah. This was also one of my biggest growers, but I'm going to go with Australia because I hated this song before today. I didn't like it, and in my videos I was very lukewarm. But the staging, it makes more sense. They still have work to do. We had an interview with them, and they themselves say we have work to do. But I think it looked very polished and expensive. That Dami gloss, they have this gloss. They know how to do it. I think he will grow more confident in his choreography. But putting him on the screen, to me, it works. It's not egotistical. It seems sincere when he's singing about himself and his own emotions. A very reflexive piece. You don't look convinced. But I respect them for doing this. What I'm trying to say is they elevated the smoke, not the smoke, the pyrotechnic waterfall that screams winner. This is going through. Before, I actually was slightly worried in the back of my head about Australia going through. I'm not worried anymore. I think he sounds amazing. I think they've really built on what they have.
Yeah, I like elements of the staging. I like the spinning turntable and his movements around on that. I like some of the LED. I think there's far too much of his face. Because see, the thing with Slavko, in a way, it's nearly ironic. But he's too earnest, Isaiah, which is in the background. And it reminds me of like, I don't know, the Hunger Games or something, where their big faces are flashing up, or an X Factor when Mariah Carey or someone, not Mariah Carey, why would I say her? Someone big like Beyonce, and they'd have like 5 million albums sold, blah blah blah, and their faces boom boom boom. Whereas, what has Isaiah done? He's won the X Factor. He's now at Eurovision. We don't like, nobody at home knows who he is, so his face is all over the place, and people are like, why?
He is touring as the support act for Jessica Malboy, I'll have you know.
He's going places, y'all. And he's going to do well in the final. Now look, Chris, your biggest grower, was it also Montenegro?
I would probably say it was Montenegro and Australia tied in a way, because I expected something crazy from Montenegro, and I also expected Australia to impress me, but I'm happy that they both did, so they have grown in my estimation for that regard, I would say. But I do have a favourite for the day.
Let's do favourites of the day, honey.
Azerbaijan. It's crazy, but I love it. And actually now, the more that I think back, the more I kind of latch on to, actually, it was really good. I mean, look, they've given us an entire reason for the staging, and it's one of those where you're like, really? Is that what you're trying to sell in 3 minutes on a Eurovision stage? It's like a 9 line rant about what it is, and I'm just like, okay. But it's creative. It's Azerbaijan doing what Azerbaijan did best, which was staging. 2013, 2012, they've given that kind of expensive seer kind of vibe to it. And if it all comes together in terms of like the few niggling issues with vocals, I have no real concerns about that. They will get it right. This could be the dark horse with the dark horse on stage.
I think a lot of people will respond to this. That horse is not an ass or a donkey. It is a stallion, honey. A Midsummer Night's Dream art. This is performance art meets pop. I think she does it in a way that's accessible to many people. Kids will be like, ooh, look at the horse.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at the chalkboards. And then adults will be like, whoa, this is dark. She's saying something significant. Regardless of whether they figure out what she's saying or not, they will think that it's very significant. So I think she's done a really good job at creating something that's at once artistic but also populist, and that's very important in a pop music contest.
That is one of my favourites too. I just worry that it might be a touch too dark, but it has the moment towards the end where the lights kind of come and she pulls down the walls and she ditches the dark jacket, so maybe that will make it a bit more accessible. But my favourite performance, I'm not saying favourite song, my favourite performance was Portugal. Just they got everything right. Well, the only thing they didn't get right was that they didn't have Salvador, but that was unavoidable, we're told. But the staging, it was where everything that Belgium got wrong, Portugal got right. Because they realised that their song, its magic lies in its intimacy.
Yeah.
And so there's no point having a singer standing all alone on a giant stage that's full of emptiness. So
Blanche.
Yeah. What they've done instead is they've put her on the island, and she'll be surrounded by fans, but it will be very intimate because the island is so small. And then she's kind of encapsulated by a forest, and the forest then just gives it kind of a sort of old world feel that kind of reflects the timeless nature of the song itself. And my biggest disappointment was that we didn't get to hear Salvador. While Luisa is fine at singing it, it's not her version that we fall in love with, it's Salvador's, and he's got that rich jazz vocal that's unique.
His quirkiness set against the beautiful forest and this timeless melody, that's what's interesting and arresting. He delivers this. This is also my favorite, by the way, I should point out. This is my winner. Portugal is my winner for the day. This is really going to challenge. I think this will win the semi-final. I think the jury is going to love this. They're going to absolutely vote for this. televote, it will be a bit divided because obviously, Chris, I can hear your eyes rolling in my head. But I just gotta say, there's a lot of love for this, and a lot of people who were skeptical before also, I've just heard they've also been convinced. The danger here was doing something too complicated to take away from the simplicity, but they enhanced rather than taking away. This was emotional, this was sweet. When Salvador gets there, it's gonna go to another level. She wrote this with the male vocal in mind. She wrote this with little brother in mind, and that authenticity is really gonna come through when he is singing. There's something very warm about the whole Portuguese, entry this year. The whole team, the whole nation's really getting behind this because they've not been in this position ever, if I believe, and it's so well deserved after so many years of struggling. So I think also maybe some jurors will be sympathetic to that and want to push Portugal up. They've given them a great spot in the running order, putting them as late as they can in the first half. So to me, that suggests the EBU, or the producers at least, want Portugal to do well. And I got to tell you, 2 of the 3, we want you to do well. I want you to win this semi-final. You deserve it. Final thoughts?
I think as well, if people are drawing comparisons, they automatically think of Italy 2011.
Yes.
But I think this is a much more accessible entry, and it kind of harks back to the classic black and white films that everybody's seen in their childhood, whereas Italy was very high-end, arty-farty jazz.
Yeah, I didn't like
and they came second.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping Portugal from doing better.
One moment of shade.
Look, I will applaud Portugal. They got the staging right. I completely think that they have done it the right kind of staging. The backdrop is very nice. At the end of the day, I'm never going to like the song. I don't think it's timeless. I think it's very dated and unfavourably dated if you hark it back to the 50s and 60s Eurovision songs, which are considerably better. I do think there are multiple songs from that era which I do find more appealing. That's my personal opinion on it. But I will say I do prefer Louisa's version of it as well. I just think that she is a vocalist who I prefer to hear. But at the same time, it just passes me by every
Very
time
talented woman, different strokes for different folks. I'm going to close this video out by saying that one person who was touched was our Portuguese correspondent, Bernardo Tavares Pereira. Step into the frame, sit behind. He was very emotional to the point that I had to console him afterwards. You were feeling this? Just 2 or 3 quick words, the battery is dying.
Well, I just interviewed Luisa. He's going up soon. And she was very happy with the rehearsal. And people in Portugal understand the message of the song and understand the process that was behind creating it, and that creates, there's something in the way all of the process worked from the first minute till this moment that make it even more magical.
Absolutely, the word is magique, honey. That's what we think. What do you think? Who is your winner for the day? Who is your loser? And who was your grower? Who was the shower? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to subscribe and then tell us all your thoughts in the comments.
Don't forget to download our brand new app on the App Store and Google Play.
And like and share this video.
And most importantly, please come back tomorrow. We'll be doing it all again. We'll see you later. Bye.